What's up guys, my name is Ace, and welcome back to The Breakdown. This is the series where I analyze subscriber gameplay to help you improve. In today's episode, we're going to be analyzing a frontline gameplay from Dell's Madness. Let's get into it. Alright guys, so typically with this series, I analyze like average to slightly below average gameplay, but every once in a while, I want to pick an above average gameplay, and that's what today is going to be. This is actually a flawless gameplay, and first up, let's have a look at the class that he used. We've got the MACTAV 45 with Quick Draw, Suppressor, and Stock. So far, so good. Those are excellent attachments on the MACTAV, especially that Suppressor. If you guys remember from my SMG Suppressor guide, that is an excellent choice on the MACTAV. For a tactical, we've got the Jammer Grenade. For perk 1, we've got Ghost, perk 2, Momentum, and perk 3, we've got Pinpoint. So there's a few issues that I'm seeing towards the bottom end here. First off, throughout the entire gameplay, I didn't see him throw a Jammer Grenade once. I'm the exact same way. If I have like a Jammer Grenade or tacticals or lethals, a lot of times I just completely neglect to use them. Mainly because I just feel confident in every situation I'm in, and you could tell he felt confident in all the situations he was in, so there was no situation where he really needed to use this. But at the same time, he was wasting a point that could have been spent elsewhere on his class. As for Ghost, that's awesome. There's really no reason not to use Ghost in this game. Momentum, on the other hand, I don't think Momentum kicked in once for him throughout this whole gameplay, or if it did, maybe it was only once or twice, and it probably didn't really help him at all. If you guys remember from my movement video, Momentum doesn't kick in until you're fully sprinting for 3 seconds without interruptions. So no slides, no wall runs, nothing like that. I don't think he sprinted for 3 full seconds in this gameplay without jumping into a wall run or sliding or doing something like that. So therefore, Momentum did nothing for him in this game. And again, that's another wasted point on the class. And then finally we have Pinpoint, and once again, this is something that I didn't see help him at all throughout this gameplay. In most of the situations he was in, actually I think in almost every situation he was in, he was killing the enemy so fast that there was no time to even see the Pinpoint outline pop up before the enemy was dead. So again, I just feel like that's 3 points right there that could have been better spent elsewhere on the class. I would have considered something like maybe stacking Ghost with Dexterity. Scavenger would have been a great choice as well, even though he did just fine picking up guns off the ground, but Scavenger would have been a decent choice. Hardwired counters so many things, so that would have been a better choice than Pinpoint in my mind. Same with Dead Silence. He was relatively aggressive. He has more of like a push-pull type playstyle, so there are situations where Dead Silence probably would have helped him a little bit. At least it would have helped him more than Pinpoint in my mind. So overall, not a flawless class by any means, but he does play very well with this class. So getting into the gameplay, the first thing I want you guys to notice is his sensitivity. It's obviously very, very high, and normally I would advise against this. But you can also see with his gameplay, he handles it extremely well. It's not holding him back at all. He's not missing shots due to his sensitivity. I can't say the same for most people that run a sensitivity this high. I would say 9 times out of 10, people that have sensitivities this high, they're missing shots that they shouldn't be missing, and their aim tends to be a little bit on the sloppy side. And for a lot of people, they do it just because they think it's the cool thing to do. We can see that is clearly not the case with this guy. He handles his sensitivity flawlessly. Another thing you'll notice with his gameplay is he's moving from position to position. He's not necessarily running around like a chicken with his head cut off, but at the same time, once he gets a kill, he moves on and he attacks from a different angle. You'll also notice a lot of times when he gets a kill, he actually backs away instead of just constantly pushing forward. That's something that a lot of rushers don't really understand, is that you can pull back quite a bit. This is that push-pull sort of playstyle that I've discussed in the past before. This is, in my mind, the most effective playstyle for going on really long streaks. You're constantly attacking from different angles, and you also know when it's time to pull back and just let the enemies come to you. It keeps you really unpredictable and allows you to stay alive much longer, as long as you have the gun skill to back it up. Skipping ahead a little bit here, this is a situation that I absolutely love. He picked a sniper rifle up off of a guy that he had killed, and he knows that there's snipers on the other side there. His teammates just died to him, and he decides to challenge, which is okay, because he's got a sniper rifle now, so I mean, that's a relatively fair gunfight. Once he realizes that he's probably not going to win that, or it's too high risk of a scenario, he just immediately gets out of there and just cuts his losses and leaves. It seems that most people would have tried to stick it out and be like, I'll get him next time, I'm going to try one more time. And they keep pushing their luck and pushing their luck. And who knows, maybe they would have gotten that kill on that sniper laying down. But it also could have easily gone the other way. What he does is he just says, nope, that's not a situation I like. The odds aren't really in my favor, at least not enough in my favor. Let's go try and get ourselves into a different situation. This is definitely a trait that the more successful aggressive players have. Now right here also, I really like how he handled this situation. A lot of players, even in frontline, they don't seem to realize that pushing up and getting a line of sight into the enemy spawn is generally not the greatest idea because there's a good chance they have armor in their spawn. So instead, he just pushed up to that point where he's still got good map control and the enemies still have to come to him, but he's not putting himself in danger from people that could be in spawn with armor. Excellent positioning here. You'll also notice a nice thing about being positioned here instead of moving up to that next barrel that he's aiming at. He has an escape route where he is right now. If he gets into a situation he doesn't like, maybe like 4 enemies come around that corner at once or something, he can just get out of there and retreat behind him to his right. So I love the positioning there. Now getting into the beginning of the next round, he calls his Thor in, and I just wanted to point out his patience with his shots in this. I see a lot of people when they call on his Thor, they get so excited and they just keep like spamming all the buttons and firing their rockets as fast as possible and not really thinking about where they're aiming and leading their targets and stuff. You'll notice with him, he lines up his shot and then he takes it. And he's also switching back and forth between missiles, which again, I see a lot of beginner players that use a Thor. They forget to switch to the different missile types. So he's switching between missiles and he's lining up his shots and thinking about his shot before taking them. Now, as he gets out of his Thor, I like that he came over to this area here and then decided the odds aren't in my favor with a back tap, so he decides to back away. Now, he did turn back because his teammate died, so there's a good chance an enemy could have rushed, and so he just wanted to be there. But again, this is just another great example of you calculating the odds, realizing the odds aren't in your favor, and deciding to just back out of there and attack from a different angle. It ends up working out very well for him. Now he's in an advantageous situation, he's able to pick up some kills, and he's in good position now. Now again, right here, you'll see a lot of those really aggressive players or self-proclaimed rushers. They'll just keep pushing in towards the enemy spawn constantly. And with him, you'll notice he almost never pushes past the halfway point on the map. This is a really smart move, especially against the enemies he was playing against. Now, if he had enemies that were camping at the back of their spawn, he may have had to adjust his playstyle a little bit. But at least against these enemies, they were pushing him and it worked out very well for him. So if the enemies are coming to you, there's no shame in just letting them come to you and getting a kill from an advantageous position. I find far too many people have the mindset that if you aren't pushing them all the time, then you're a camper or you're a bad player or something like that. There are lots of situations where it's better off to let the enemies just run into your sight. And I'm not telling you to camp all game. I'm just saying if you get yourself in a good position, there's no shame in holding that down and waiting for the enemies to come to you. So there we have it. He ended up going flawless in this gameplay. He went 36-0, and this is all due to the fact that he was putting himself in advantageous positions, letting the enemies come to him, and he was also doing this in an unpredictable sort of manner. He wasn't camping, he was relatively aggressive, but he also knew how far to push. If you'd like to have one of your gameplays potentially analyzed in this series in the future, all you have to do is send a link to an unlisted YouTube video that's at least 720p in quality, and keep in mind I'm only looking for raw gameplay, and normally I do look for more like average type gameplay. Like I said, I'm not going to do a ton of gameplays like this where they're flawless, but if you have a gameplay like that, send a link to that to the email address in the description below. I'll have a look at it, and you just might see it pop up in a future episode. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.